They say honesty is the best policy. But if that were true, why are the most honest people the first ones to get fired, betrayed, and shut down? Why do we admire truth but punish the truth teller? Because here's the real game. People don't want truth, they want comfort, and honesty threatens that comfort. That's why those who win in politics, in business, even in relationships, they don't always lie, they just know exactly how much to say and what to leave out. Now let's pull back the curtain and expose the dangerous illusion of honesty. Part 1. The dangerous illusion of honesty. They told you to be honest, to speak your truth, to always say what's on your mind, no matter what. And maybe you tried. You told the truth. You shared how you really felt. You exposed what others were too scared to say. And what happened? They didn't thank you. They called you difficult. They labeled you selfish. They told you to tone it down. Or worse, they cut you off completely. Here's what they never told you. People don't want the truth. They want the version of reality that keeps them comfortable. And when you're too honest, you become dangerous to that comfort. In schools, they punish the blunt kid. In companies, they fire the outspoken employee. In relationships, they ghost the one who speaks too openly. So what's really going on here? The world doesn't reward truth. It rewards control. And nothing kills your control faster than uncontrolled honesty. See, honesty is like a sharp blade. It can cut through lies, yeah, but it can also cut you. If you don't know how to use it, it will turn against you. This video isn't about lying. It's about survival. It's about when to speak, how much to say, and what to never reveal. Because in the real world, honesty without strategy isn't courage, it's carelessness. And in a world ruled by perception, the one who tells the truth too soon loses. But those who hide their truth, filter it, shape it, release it strategically, those people win, over and over again. You're about to learn why being too honest is one of the worst mistakes you can make. Part 2. The weaponization of honesty. Let's get one thing straight. Honesty is not just a virtue, it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used to build or to destroy. You were told to just be honest. But no one told you that honesty is often demanded by people who want to control you. Let me explain. Your boss says, "Be honest, tell me how you feel about the new project." You tell the truth. You're overwhelmed, underpaid, and feel burned out. What happens next? You're labeled negative, not a team player. You don't get that promotion. You're dating someone who says, "Please be honest with me." So you share your doubts, your fears, your past. What do? They pull away. Suddenly you're too intense, too complicated, too emotional. See the pattern? Most people ask for your honesty to gain power over you. They want access to your mind, to know what buttons to push, to find your insecurities, your guilt, your weak spots. That's how manipulators operate. They don't need to lie. They just need you to reveal too much truth, because once they know who you really are, they can shape how you behave. That's the trap. They never confess when it costs them. They never overshare when the stakes are high. They know that honesty, when used wisely, is leverage. They'll reveal something small and harmless to appear authentic. While keeping the dangerous truths hidden, they create trust. Then use that trust to bend others to their will. It's not deception, it's calculation. Because in this world, you don't get points for being honest. You get points for being effective. And those who weaponize honesty, those who decide when to tell the truth and when to hold it back, they stay ahead. So next time someone says, "Just be honest with me," ask yourself, do they want connection or control? And more importantly, what will they do with your truth once they have it? Part 3. Radical honesty makes you weak. Let's talk about one of the most dangerous ideas infecting modern minds, radical honesty. This idea tells you to say exactly what you feel. Express your truth at all times. Be 100% transparent with everyone you care about. Sounds empowering, right? Wrong. It's not empowerment. It's emotional suicide. Let me show you how this works in the real world. You're in a relationship. You confess every fear you have, every mistake you've made. You even admit that you're afraid they might leave you. You think you're building closeness. But what you're really doing is surrendering power. You've just told the other person exactly how to break you, where your armor is thin, where to poke if they ever want to win an argument. And worst of all, they didn't earn that level of truth. You just handed it to them for free. Here's the harsh truth. Radical honesty makes you predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. You think you're being brave, but what you're really doing is leaking leverage. You're handing over your blueprint, your thoughts, your patterns, your weaknesses to people who may not even have your best interests in mind. And even if they do, people change, feelings fade. Today's ally can become tomorrow's rival. What you shared in innocence might be weaponized in resentment. That's not paranoia, That's pattern recognition. Now think about how powerful people operate. They reveal just enough to seem real, but never enough to be vulnerable. They might share an old failure that's already behind them, or a carefully selected story that makes them look human. But their current fears, their real strategies, their emotional triggers, you'll never hear those, because that's where power lives, in what's left unsaid. So ask yourself, are you being honest because it serves a purpose, or because you crave connection, validation, and release? One makes you powerful, the other makes you dependent. The world doesn't owe you safety just because you told the truth. And the people you trust today may not protect what you shared tomorrow. Say less, observe more, and never ever forget. The most dangerous truths are the ones you reveal too soon. Part 4. The Transparency Trap. Modern society loves buzzwords, and one of the most dangerous is this: transparency. Be transparent. Be open. Share your process, show your flaws, let people in. Sounds noble, sounds authentic, but here's the truth. Transparency is a trap. It's a trick disguised as virtue, designed to make you easier to read, easier to use, and easier to predict. Because when people know everything about you, they stop respecting you. They start managing you. Your doubts become their ammunition. Your routines become their blueprint. Your dreams become targets they can control. You think you're building trust by being transparent, but in reality, you're handing over your operating manual. You become a glass box. No mystery, no power. And what happens to glass boxes? They either get ignored or they get broken. Let's flip the script. Imagine two leaders. One speaks his every thought, shares all his plans, tells the world when he's afraid. The other says little, speaks with purpose, never reveals a move until it's already made. Which one do you follow? Which one do you fear? Which one do you respect? Power belongs to the second one, always, because mystery breeds curiosity, and curiosity breeds respect. The transparent leader may seem admirable, but they'll never be untouchable. That's what you should aim for, untouchable. Not liked, not relatable, but unreadable. Strategic, unshakable. People say, but I want to be real, I want to be understood. And that's fine, if you want average results. But if you want influence, if you want freedom, then learn this. Never let anyone read you completely, especially not the people who say they care. Not because they're evil, but because humans are wired to protect themselves first. If your transparency ever threatens their comfort, status, or control, they'll use it against you. Not always with malice, sometimes just to survive. So protect your edge. Reveal only what strengthens your position. Hold back what exposes it. Let the world see the painting, but never the brushstrokes. And here's the irony most people never realize. The people who preach honesty the loudest are often wearing the biggest masks. Part 5. The Mask of Integrity. And here's the irony most people never realize. The ones who scream the loudest about honesty, morals, and integrity are often the ones hiding the most. They weaponize virtue. They turn honesty into an image, and that image becomes a mask. It's not about truth, it's about perception. It's about looking pure while staying untouchable. Politicians do it all the time. They talk about transparency while operating behind closed doors. They preach ethics while playing dirty to stay in power. But it's not just them. Your favorite influencers, they show you vulnerability, but only the kind that builds followers. Your boss acts humble in meetings, but protects their seat with every word. The performance of honesty is more valuable than the reality of it. And that's a Machiavellian principle you must understand. People don't follow truth. They follow certainty, even if it's fake. And so, the smart players don't aim to be honest. They aim to be believable. Big difference. Honesty can cost you. Believability gets you support. So they build a character dash. Someone who appears reliable, sincere, trustworthy. But behind the scenes, they're playing chess, pulling strings, withholding 30% of what they know, just in case. And here's the part most people miss. You don't need to lie to wear a mask. You just need to curate. To choose what part of yourself you show the world. Not to deceive, but to defend. Because if you walk around completely exposed, completely raw, believing that integrity means never filtering your truth, you won't last long in a world full of predators. Machiavelli would say, it's not necessary to have good qualities, it's only necessary to appear like you do. Use that. Build your mask deliberately. Let your integrity be quiet, not loud. Let your truth be private, not performative. And remember, when the world believes your mask, they give you more power than your real self ever could. But there's a catch. If you drop the mask too soon, if you start sharing the wrong truths at the wrong time, You don't just lose power, you lose influence. Part 6. Honesty destroys influence. So you've built a mask, you've learned to withhold, you've stopped telling people everything. Good. But now you need to understand why full honesty, especially in moments of power, is the fastest way to lose influence. Here's why. Influence is built on perception, and honesty disrupts perception. You might think that opening up will make people respect you more, that showing your weaknesses will make you relatable, that confessing your doubts makes you authentic. But the truth, most people don't want their leaders to be human. They want them to be certain. Let me give you an example. Imagine a CEO stands on stage and says, "I'm honestly scared. I don't know if our company will survive this year." What happens? The stock crashes. Investors pull out. Employees panic, even if he was just being honest. Why? Because when a leader collapses, everyone underneath starts trembling. Now apply that to your life. You tell your partner, "I'm afraid you'll leave me." They don't feel closer. They feel burdened. You tell your team, "I'm not sure if I'm good enough for this." They don't admire your honesty. They question your ability. The more people see your cracks, the less they trust your foundation. Honesty might feel good to you, but influence isn't about how you feel. It's about what others see. That doesn't mean you have to lie. It means you have to filter. You can admit challenges without broadcasting panic. You can be real without revealing everything. Powerful people speak in measured truth. They control the frame. They speak when it strengthens the mission. They stay silent when it weakens trust. Because they know the truth may set you free, but it might also set fire to everything you've built. So if you care about keeping your position, your respect, your leverage, don't confess just because it feels honest. Ask, will this truth increase my influence or decrease it? If it shrinks your authority, keep it locked. But that raises another question. If you're not filling the space with honesty, what do you fill it with? Let me show you something more powerful than truth: silence. Part 7. Strategic silence. If truth can hurt you and lies can trap you, then what's the third option? Silence. Silence isn't just the absence of speech, it's a weapon. And when used right, it's more powerful than any argument, confession, or explanation. Think about it. When someone goes silent during a conversation, what happens? Tension rises. The other person starts guessing. They fill the silence with their own insecurities, fears, and assumptions. And that's the key. Silence forces the other person to reveal more than you do. It puts them on edge. It creates psychological pressure. It makes them talk too much, confess too early, or expose their own truth just to break the discomfort. This is what powerful people understand. They don't explain every move. They don't clarify every rumor. They don't chase people down to justify themselves. They sit with the silence and let the world spin. Now here's something subtle, but crucial. Silence isn't passive. It's active restraint. It's choosing to observe instead of react, to collect data instead of expose data, to control the room without raising your voice. In negotiations, silence makes people offer more than they intended. In conflict, silence makes others feel guilty, even if you did nothing wrong. In relationships, silence can drive more curiosity and desire than any love letter. Because here's the truth. What you don't say often carries more power than what you do. You don't need to share every thought. You don't need to explain your every decision. You don't owe anyone your constant internal narration. Let them wonder. Let them chase clarity. Let them talk themselves into a mistake. And the best part? Silence gives you time. Time to study, to calculate, to choose the perfect moment to speak, if you decide to speak at all. So remember, when truth is risky and lies are too loud, silence becomes your strategy. But silence alone isn't enough. Eventually you will need to speak. The real skill is knowing how much to reveal and how much to hold back. Let me show you the 70-30 rule. Part 8. The 70-30 rule of honesty. So you've learned to stay silent, to observe, to wait, to not rush into truth. But what happens when you do decide to speak? Here's the rule. Give 70% of the truth. Hide 30%. This is the art of selective honesty. It's not about lying. It's about leaving just enough unsaid to stay in control. Why 70? Because it's enough to build trust, enough to seem transparent, enough to make people believe they know you, but not enough to let them predict you or manipulate you. Let's look at it in practice. You're in a negotiation. You reveal your basic goals, your vision, your values, but you don't reveal your bottom line. You don't share your backup plan. That's your 30%, and it's your leverage. In relationships, you share your feelings, your story, your struggles, but you don't confess every insecurity. You don't expose every past wound. That's your power. Even in friendship, you might speak from the heart, but you keep your long-term strategy, your ambitions, your next moves quiet. Why? Because once people think they've seen your entire hand, they stop respecting the game. Mystery is magnetic. It creates tension, depth, gravity. And in power dynamics, gravity wins. Now some people will say, isn't that manipulative? Not at all. It's discipline. It's understanding that not everyone is entitled to full access. And more importantly, not everyone can handle it. Some people will misinterpret your truth. Some will misuse it. Some will even resent you for it. The 70-30 rule protects you from that. It allows you to show up as real without becoming raw, to connect and without collapsing, to be honest without being helpless. And here's the beautiful part. That hidden 30%, it gives you options, flexibility, control. You can reveal it later if it serves your outcome, or keep it forever if it doesn't. That's how you move through life as a strategist, not a confessor. But now you might be thinking, how do I know who's worthy of even that 70%? Let me show you the test. Part 9, test before you confess. By now, you've learned that honesty is a tool, not a right. But here's where most people fail. They assume closeness means safety. That time spent with someone means they're trustworthy. That just because someone says, you can tell me anything, they actually mean it. That's a mistake. Before you give someone your truth, test them. Not with questions, but with behavior. Not with trust, but with observation. Here's how it works. Start small. Drop a minor detail, something that feels true but low stakes. Then watch what they do with it. Do they gossip about it? Do they weaponize it in arguments? Do they bring it up when you're vulnerable? Or do they protect it, forget it, move on without drama? This is your first filter. If they fail the small test, never give them something bigger. Ever. You can also use fake confessions. Yes, you heard that right. Give someone a story that feels emotionally real but isn't tied to your identity. See how they respond. Do they grow closer? Or do they shift, judge, distance themselves? It's not about deception. It's about data. The way someone handles your truth reveals how they'll handle your weakness. And here's another thing. People change under pressure. A friend today could turn bitter tomorrow. A partner today might become insecure later. That's why testing never ends. Even long-term relationships need constant recalibration. Because one emotional shift and everything you confessed could become a future weapon. So protect yourself. You don't owe truth to anyone who hasn't proven they can hold it without using it. This isn't cold. It's smart. Even therapists, professionals trained to hold space, let clients open up gradually. Why shouldn't you? Let people earn access to your inner world. Let them show consistency, not just words. Because once your truth is out, you can't take it back. And in the wrong hands, it's not a memory, it's a liability. And yet, there's one more level to this game. What if you could use honesty, not just as a filter, but as a weapon? What if you could speak truth, to disarm, to control, to dominate? There's one more level to this game. What if you could use honesty, not just as a filter, but as a weapon? What if you could speak truth, to disarm, to control, to dominate? Let's go deeper. Part 10, Honesty as Psychological Warfare. Most people think of honesty as a virtue. Some realize it's a risk. But the rare few? They know honesty can be a weapon because truth, when delivered with precision, can lower defenses, trigger guilt, win sympathy, or collapse your enemy from the inside out. This is the darkest art of honesty. Psychological warfare. Here's how it works. Imagine you're in a negotiation, everyone's posturing, no one's blinking. Suddenly, you drop a raw, unexpected truth. To be honest, I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. They lean in, they see vulnerability, they relax their guard. That moment of honesty, it wasn't weakness, it was a setup. You made them believe you're exposed, when in reality, you're watching their reaction, measuring what they reveal next. This is a calculated confession. It's not random, it's not emotional, it's timing. You can also use honesty to create guilt. Let's say someone's been distant, cold. Instead of accusing, you say, I just wanted to be honest. It's been hurting me more than I expected. Now the burden shifts. You framed yourself as sincere, but underneath that honesty, you've transferred emotional pressure onto them. This isn't manipulation for fun, it's survival strategy. In power games, controlled truth is more dangerous than any lie, because no one questions truth. No one suspects it's a tactic. That's why it slips through defenses so easily. And here's the advanced move. Tell a truth that makes people underestimate you. Reveal something real, a failure, a fear, a past mistake. Make them think you're harmless, human, safe. Then strike. It's the old war tactic. Let the enemy think you're weak. so they walk into the trap willingly. The best manipulators don't lie often, they just deploy truth with surgical aim. So stop thinking honesty is always noble. Sometimes it's just the cleanest looking weapon in the arsenal. Say something honest, at the right moment, to the right person, with the wrong assumptions, and you win. Now you understand the truth about truth, but before we finish, there's one last thing you need to hear. The world doesn't reward truth, it rewards perception. And the person who walks around proudly, loudly honest, will always be at the mercy of those who are quietly strategic. This doesn't mean you should lie, it means you should control. Control what you reveal, control when you speak, control who gets access to your truth and who never will. Because once your truth is out, it's not yours anymore. It belongs to their interpretation, their memory, their agenda, so protect it. Don't be the loudest, be the least readable, don't be fully honest, be intelligently honest. Tell the truth only when it helps you, stay silent when it protects you, and if you ever reveal everything, make sure it's already too late for them to use it against you. Because in this game of power, what you hide is what keeps you free.